How to win the game of life. If you want to be a professional footballer and win major competitions, you'd aspire to play for Manchester United, Chelsea, Real Madrid or another top club. You just wouldn't be happy playing for your small local club, however fond of them you were, because you know you're never going to win the Champions League playing for them. Likewise, if you want to win at the game of life, you need to join the winning team. And if you want to qualify for that team, you will need the right mindset, the mindset of a creator, an innovator, an entrepreneur, a producer. Now you've all heard the expression, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, it's true. And there's a good reason for that, but it's not why most people think. It's not because rich people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, it's because they think differently. That's right, the way they think is what really separates rich from poor. Producers get richer, consumers get poorer. In short, if you want to win at life, you need to make the leap from being on team consumer to team producer. And it may not be easy. Since the day you were born, you've been conditioned to play for the losing team. Action Man, Scalextric, your BMX bike, you've been programmed to want stuff in the belief that these things will make you happy. But if you want to be on the winning team, your mindset needs to shift to being one of producing, not consuming. Instead of buying products, you make products. Instead of working for someone, you hire people. Instead of borrowing money, you lend money. Instead of buying books, you write a book. Once you begin to see the world from a producer's perspective, it's like retuning a crackly radio station and getting crystal clear stereo sound. You'll start to see opportunities everywhere, and you'll be able to separate the wheat from the chaff quickly and easily. So, if you want to join the top 1% and play for the winning team, retune your dial to the way producers think. And guess what? The great thing is, once you succeed as a producer, you'll have the pleasure of being able to consume whatever you like in much greater quantities than before, without worrying about whether you can afford it. To be a producer, you need to learn how to become a person who finds good ideas, has the ability to make decisions, to take risks, and is willing to make short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. You also need to understand leverage and implement it in your business to create systems for lead generation, sales, hiring, production, distribution, and, importantly, customer service. You must transfer the process of income generation from you as an individual to your business asset. Your work as a producer revolves around creating a business asset so it can continue to make money for you many years after you stop working in the business. Now, many moons ago, I was a lawyer working in the music industry, and I can tell you as a young man, I was astonished, absolutely astonished at how much money our clients made every year in royalties from songs they had written many, many years ago. You see, every time one of their songs gets played on the radio, it's played live by someone, it's used in a commercial or a TV program, it adds to their bank balance. Now, one of those clients was Elton John, and if you've seen the film Rocketman, you know how quickly he could write a song. Just imagine this, a few minutes work and decades later, you still earn hundreds of thousands of dollars every year just from those few minutes of creative output decades ago. And that's per song. Imagine having a portfolio of those songs, and you can understand how Elton John has managed to live such a lavish lifestyle. Now, you may not have the ability to write great songs or write best-selling novels, but there are plenty of other ways to do similar. People on Team Producer create money pump businesses that continue to churn out money long after they've actually stopped working. You know, it's writing books or plays, producing online courses, creating software as a service, manufacturing goods, subscription models like Netflix, or licensing rights or patents, or franchising, to name just a few. These types of businesses all succeed because they use the power of leverage. And leverage really is the secret to wealth creation. The more you use it, the wealthier you can become. The difference between consumer and producer mindsets? Well, consumption is easy. We've been conditioned to believe it brings us happiness, and we don't have to make sacrifices to be a consumer. But producing is difficult and time-consuming. It involves sacrificing short-term pleasure in the expectation of long-term benefits. It's difficult and it makes us uncomfortable. And it's the reason why only a small number of people are producers, and they create the stuff that the rest of the world consumes. Just take a look at the people around you and consider how many of them are producers or consumers. And you will see there are very few producers, but they are the ones that create the wealth. To give you a very simple example, a short YouTube video like this that you're watching now may take you 10 minutes to watch, but it took many hours of work to research, write, film, process and edit it. I get paid nothing for that work. In fact, it cost me money as I hired people to do some of those tasks. So, why have I made it? Well, because hopefully it will be available to watch for years to come. And each week it will attract some new viewers like you, and some of them will decide to join the Freedom Code, which is my online members site. It's like a little soldier working for me 24/7, and without any more work from me, hopefully it will produce thousands of dollars in revenue over the next few years. Or maybe it won't do that. Maybe nobody will like it, but that's a risk you have to be prepared to take. So how can you recognise producer thinking? Well, let's say you visit a new city. In that city you come across a shop that sells sandwiches, and you notice there's a long line of people queuing to get their hands on these sandwiches. What are your thoughts? Well, a consumer will start to think about what sandwich he's going to have, how good it's going to taste. They take a look on TripAdvisor and see what people have to say about it, and then they quickly join the line, feeling hungry all of a sudden, even though they probably ate 2 hours ago. The producer, on the other hand, is intrigued about the business. Why is this shop so much more popular than the others? What is it about this shop and its sandwiches that drives people here? They start thinking about what makes it unique. How have people heard about it? Then they start to count the people in the line and calculate how many sandwiches they sell in a day. They calculate the average spend per customer. What's the profit margin? What else could their customers buy? What can I learn from this I can use in my business? But we're all conditioned to be consumers, and breaking that habit and shifting our mindset can take time. More often than not, you'll have to forgo watching the latest hot series on Netflix or getting drunk with your mates at the weekend. Sacrifices have to be made. So, do you want to get conscripted to team producer? Here are 5 things you can do to step up to join the winning team. Firstly, stop procrastinating and start doing. People often spend too much time studying just for the sake of studying. In truth, it's a form of procrastination and it can kill productivity. We tend to hide behind books, videos, online courses, and we put off engaging with potential customers. It's because we've been conditioned by the school system that we must have as much knowledge as possible before actually doing anything. We think we will have the confidence when we just have a bit more knowledge. But you don't need more knowledge in order to be a producer. You already know what you need to know to get started, and you can acquire more knowledge as and when you need it. You only need to learn what you need to solve the next immediate roadblock on your journey. Then, when you've solved that problem, you progress until you hit the next one and repeat the process. Think of your entrepreneurial journey in the same way as a long car journey. Now, when you start a car journey, you don't wait for every traffic light to be green. If you did, you'd never get going. You understand there will be stop signs, roadworks, bottlenecks, all holding you up along the way, but you know you'll get there in the end, if you get started. And the further you plan to go, the more red lights and potholes and delays you will face. But you deal with them as you encounter them. You don't try and solve them all before you start. Secondly, start small. If you look at all the gurus and marketing experts on the internet today, you could be forgiven for thinking that everyone except you has it all sorted. Everyone else is crushing social media. Everyone else has mastered these multiple complex marketing funnels. Everyone else has a 7-figure business and investors falling over themselves to give them money. It can create this huge sense of overwhelm and put you off even getting started. But here's the thing, most of what you see is absolute crap. There are less than 5% of businesses in the world that generate over $1 million in annual revenue, and that includes all the big household names. So the people people actually making $1 million a year or more are few and far between. Now I know a few such people, and none of them would ever be found standing by a rented Lamborghini bragging about it on social media. So every journey starts with the first step. So whilst it's great to have big dreams, it will help you to think a little bit smaller on a day-to-day basis. So just start somewhere. Produce something of value to a single person, no matter how small it is. And remember, that's your first step, not your final destination. So take that first step and just keep on walking. As Steve Jobs famously said, you can never connect the dots looking forward. You just don't know where life's going to take you. But in order to move forward, you need to take that first step and keep producing every single day. Tip number 3, focus on the process, not the outcome. Consumers constantly think about the end goal they are trying to reach and what it will mean for them if they achieve that goal. But producers focus on the steps needed to get there. So instead of saying, I want 10,000 subscribers, they say, I will publish a piece of quality content every day. Instead of saying, I want to make $1 million in sales this year, they say, I will speak with 20 prospects every day. Instead of saying, I want to be a best-selling author, they say, I will write 3,000 words every day. Focusing on the process forces you to produce results continuously. It helps to hold yourself accountable for what you do every day. Now, having a big inspirational goal that you're working towards is great. It will keep you motivated through all the tough times. But focusing on process-related goals is what will actually get you there. Tip number 4, build the right habits. If your process-related goals, such as I will produce 3 blog posts every week, are what you're going to do, then the habits you form are how you will accomplish those goals. Robert Russell said, habits are God's way of making good automatic, and habits will help streamline your processes and establish automatic behaviour that leads to continuous, consistent output. So decide what habits you would need to achieve the results you want and work on the most important one until it's ingrained and you do it without thinking, it's just automatic. Then move on to the next one, and so on. So if you want to produce 3 posts a week, for example, you need to plan to do that. So you may want to get up earlier so you can write and plan without distraction. Block out time slots where you only focus on your goal. Don't allow for any interruptions. Let everyone know you're not to be disturbed. Figure out which environment helps you be the most productive, and then make sure that you always work in that place. Once you've established the right habits, you no longer consciously think about what you're doing. They just become automatic, like brushing your teeth or driving a car. Tip number 5, don't worry about failing. Just produce consistently. Now, I'm not saying you're going to produce a perfect piece of work every time, but produce something every day. Consistency is absolutely critical to success. It's what Darren Hardy calls the compound effect. Now, of course, you will have good days and you will have bad days, but you can't let your bad days stop you from moving forward. Jimmy Carr, one of my favourite comedians, and he's one of the most successful comedians in the world. But he has admitted in interviews he writes lots of bad jokes every day. But his process is just to keep writing. He writes for 8 hours a day and then he weeds out the bad ones so that he's left with the good ones. Richard Branson, we all know Richard Branson. He's had some spectacular successes, but he's also had some major failures that people forget about. Every successful person who's been around long enough has the same story. They've all failed many times. So you can't expect to get everything right every time. Expect to make mistakes and expect to fail many times in order to produce the gold. And people will naturally forget about failures once you're successful. As a producer, the most important thing is just to keep that momentum going and show up every single day. Because if you don't, things are likely to stall. So keep on producing. Okay, let's have a quick recap of what we've discussed in this video. Point 1, the rich play for a small exclusive team who think differently. If you want to win the game of life, you need to join Team Producer. And producers are entrepreneurs, innovators and creators. To qualify for that team, you need to make a fundamental shift in your mindset from consumer to producer. Once you are a producer, you will have the money to consume as much as you like. Leverage is the key to wealth creation. There must be a separation of time and income so you can multiply your income whilst doing less. Moving from consumer to producer is tough and it does involve sacrifice, so be prepared. Remember to focus your attention on the process, not the outcome. Work to develop the right habits one at a time. Importantly, stop procrastinating and start taking action. Just deal with the problems as and when they arise. Don't worry about starting small. Baby steps will get bigger as your confidence and experience grows. And just work consistently. Show up every day to produce things of value and be prepared to fail. So, are you ready to step up and play for Team Producer so you can win the game of life? If so, check out the notes for this video. There's lots of free resources there which will help you. And if you want more videos like this, just click on the button below to subscribe. Thanks for watching.